the Arcturian group. Some of you have become discouraged with regard to both the personal and global effects of the ascension process. Evolving to an awakened state of consciousness has always been and remains the only goal of every lifetime for every person. But it is a process that does not happen overnight and often involves years, even for those with a great deal of intellectual knowledge about truth. The process is difficult and lengthy because almost everyone who has evolved through Earth School has been programmed with teachings of separation throughout thousands of years and hundreds of lifetimes. Most continue to carry and must clear the energetic residue of these lifetimes before they can fully integrate the higher frequencies of reality. The ascension process now taking place is providing opportunities for everyone to move out of the old and into that which is higher and more real by forcing both personal and global density to surface in order to be seen and eliminated. Some of you find yourselves doubting as you struggle to deal with issues you thought were resolved long ago and wonder why you are not instead experiencing the fruits of your spiritual awareness. When an issue is resolved solely from a three-dimensional level, the energy of it frequently remains. Three-dimensional solutions can resolve the most conspicuous aspects of an issue, but usually leave the underlying energy in place. Long-forgotten issues with people, places, and things will often reappear as a person evolves in order to be permanently dissolved from a higher level. It is imperative that every sincere truth seeker accept that an intellectual knowledge of truth is only the first step toward it becoming an attained state of consciousness, where it can then manifest outwardly. As we have said many times, mind draws from and interprets the contents of personal and collective consciousness as consciousness is the substance from which everything seen and unseen has been and continues to be created. And since divine consciousness is the only consciousness there is, every individual consciousness is in reality God consciousness. God consciousness is, always has been, and infinitely will continue to express itself in, as, and through all creation. Very few experience the fully present God qualities of their own self, because most humans over time have unknowingly allowed their perfect, creative, individualized divine consciousness to become conditioned with beliefs of duality, separation, and powers other than the one power. The goal for every person with no exceptions is to eventually attain a consciousness of oneness, but the process is different for every person depending upon past experiences, lessons still needing to be learned, present belief system, and their spiritual readiness, which is determined by their higher self. You who read these messages are close, or you would not be interested in or even understanding these messages. You have been preparing, learning, and evolving in every lifetime, and no longer require painful three-dimensional experiences in order to wake up. You are ready to silently and secretly practice, live, allow, and trust the real you to guide, teach, and pave the way regardless of what learning and clearing experiences may be a part of it. The Christian Christmas story symbolizes every person's spiritual journey. The newborn Christ child, Christ means enlightened state of consciousness, not a person, had to be hidden away from Herod and all of those who sought to harm it until it was strong enough to be out in the world. In the beginning phases of a person's spiritual awakening, their newborn awareness is fragile and can easily be killed or damaged by those who do not believe it and do not want you or anyone else to believe it either. They fear it as a threat to their own personal belief system. Keep your newly born Christ consciousness safe and silently hidden within until it is strong enough to face any issues you may encounter because of it. Some of you have discovered that you already know much of what these messages and other channeled messages are telling you about truth, and you are wondering why they no longer speak to you as they once did. It is because you have graduated, evolved to where you no longer need so many outside tools, including channels to teach you about reality. This is the way evolution unfolds and is a step toward that state of consciousness able to access and be taught from within. Evolving into a consciousness of truth and oneness can be a difficult and solitary journey, especially when watching certain people, things, and activities disappear with seemingly nothing to replace them. Long-held concepts and beliefs begin to feel unimportant and even foolish when viewed from a more enlightened level. You may find yourself feeling physically, emotionally, and mentally drained, that your life is falling apart and you are losing everything, and you are. But rejoice, because it is only the false parts you are losing. You have reached a point in your journey where you must live the spiritual truth you know, see through the illusions of both good and bad appearances, and be willing to let go of anything that may still be holding you in bondage to an outgrown state of consciousness. This is how one moves from a consciousness fully conditioned with and manifesting experiences of duality, separation, and many powers to a consciousness of truth able to express its reality. The two most difficult beliefs for humans to see through are lack and relationships, because these two things affect every person in some way. Many of you are concerned about lack, frequently falling into fear and worry with regard to money, even though you know that abundance is a spiritual reality. Because there is no unexpressed consciousness, a belief in lack will automatically express outwardly as exactly that lack, until it is no longer a person's state of consciousness. Spiritual abundance does not refer only to money, but to the unlimited abundance of everything real. God knows nothing about lack or limitation. Observe the amount of blades of grass and leaves on trees. Divine consciousness knows only the abundant fullness of itself, appearing outwardly as an inexhaustible source of joy, completeness, wholeness, health, safety and security, happiness, peace, intelligence, and oneness/love. Ask yourself, can a self-sustained, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient God, which is all that exists, experience lack? You will say, yes, that is fine for those who have attained that state of consciousness, but what about me? And appearances will validate lack. In order to evolve out of the collective's well-established beliefs, solutions, information, and constant promotion of lack on earth, a person must begin to believe, live, and practice abundance instead of lack. The energy of abundance must be allowed to flow. Give away or donate what you no longer need or use, clothes, things, etc. Even being open to sharing what you do use. When paying bills, be conscious of the fact that because there is only one, the money is going from your right hand to your left. Donate money to your favorite causes, even if it is only a nickel, because it isn't the amount, but rather the intent. And you are intending to let your fully present abundance flow. Give things, time, joy, knowledge, and support from a consciousness of, I have because I am self-sustained, self-maintained completeness, rather than from, when I give things away, I have less. Remember that because there is only one, the more you share from the level of self-complete abundance, the more it can flow back to you, and often from where you least expect it. Regarding relationships, almost everyone has been taught, and society continues to teach that every person is half of a couple until they find their perfect other half, which will then make them complete. A spiritually aware person who continues to seek partnership through three-dimensional beliefs and game playing, where to look, what to wear, how to look, act, and what to say, etc., in order to attract someone, soon discovers their relationships are always short-lived. This is because the energy of a spiritually evolved person do not align with energies of need and being half of a couple. Does being spiritually evolved mean never having a loving partnership? No, because a consciousness of self-completeness will automatically manifest outwardly as what represents self-completeness for the individual, which for some may mean partnership, and for others mean being alone. In order for any relationship to function harmoniously, both must understand and respect that each is already whole and complete with or without the another person. I embody both masculine and feminine energy because I am God in expression. My masculine supports and guides my feminine, and my feminine loves and cares for my masculine. The higher sense of relationship is two people standing together, looking in the same direction by choice and never need. To look to or expect another person to give you what only God has to give is three-dimensional folly. Once a person chooses spiritual growth and learning, the train leaves the station, and there is no need for activities, words, ceremonies, or prayers in an attempt to make the train go faster. Allow the global and personal ascension process taking place right now to unfold as it must, in the realization that your divine self knows where you need to be, what you need to learn and experience, and when. We are the Arcturian group,